This is your Unit 2A Day 2 video notes. In this set of notes, you are going to work on Standard 3A I Can Interpret Key Features. This video is all about math vocabulary. You need to have these vocabulary words down if you are going to be able to complete the problems in this unit. So this is super important. So take it slow, pause the video, rewatch, ask questions, do whatever you need to do to get a good understanding of these vocabulary words. Okay, we are gonna start with the third one down, out of order a little bit, I'm sorry. But first thing that we need to understand is the word variable. A symbol, usually a letter that represents one or more numbers, is a variable. So our definition is here. The definition of a variable is, it is a symbol or a letter that represents an unknown number. So when we don't know what the number is, we put in a variable because it's a mystery. We don't know what it is. So an example that you might see in an expression would be like, maybe it'll be an X or a Y or a T or an S. Those are the ones that are most common. I guess N too is pretty common. So a variable is an unknown number. So make sure that you put those examples in, and then you also put the vocab word over here. Beautiful. All right. Let's go back up to the top. Algebraic expression, the definition, it's a mathematical phrase containing numbers, operations, and or variables. So it's got to have numbers in it. It has to have an operation, which we know is like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and it has to have a variable. Remember, an example of a variable might be X. An example of an operation could be addition. And then we know what numbers are. So X plus 2 is an example of an algebraic expression because it contains a variable, an operation, and a number. Another example could be Y minus 5. Those are both algebraic expressions. They contain operations, variables, and numbers. That's the three things you gotta have. Now, if we go down to our next one, we have something very similar, an equation. And that's a mathematical sentence that uses an equal sign to show that two equations or expressions are equal. Weird, equal sign, equal. So it has this equal sign. That's the important part. What makes something an equation is it has an equal sign. So the difference between an expression and an equation is this equal sign. So let's say we'd have X plus 2 equals 10. That's an equation. We have Y minus 5 equals 3. That's an equation. What makes these equations instead of expressions? This equal sign. Okay? So I want you to write the word equation over here. Right, make sure you have everything in your notes. Moving on to the next one, we have term. When a plus or minus sign separates an algebraic expression into parts, each part is a term. Ooh, sounds fancy, but it's not. Anytime we have an addition or subtraction sign, the things in between those are called terms. So for example, let's say that I have X plus 2 plus 3Y minus 6 plus 2X. Every single time I see this operation symbol, the things on either side of it is a term. So every time you see an addition or a subtraction symbol, you have a new term. So that would mean x is a term, 2 is a term, 3y is a term, 6 is a term, and 2x is a term. So the things that are separated by plus and minus signs are different terms. So in an algebraic equation, every time you see a subtraction or addition symbol, you are getting to a new term. So let's go ahead and write the word term here. All right. Next, we have coefficient. A coefficient is the numerical part of a term that contains a variable. So we say right here, okay, we have these different terms right here. Every time we have a new addition or subtraction symbol, these blue things, each of these are called terms in the expression. So let's say I have the expression like 2x plus 3y. The coefficient is the number that's in front of the variable. So if you have a number touching a variable like this, like straight up has to be touching, no operation in between, we are homies, we are connected, that is a coefficient. So when I have a term that has a number connected to a variable, that is called, this number right here, that is your coefficient. That is that fancy word. So the number in front of the variable that's touching it is the coefficient. Okay? Make sure you have that written down. We only got 2 more. We're almost done. All right, the next thing we have here is a term without a variable is called a constant. So again, let's just say we have our equation. We'll do 2x plus 6 minus y plus 8. There's an expression. Every time we see a term without a variable, it is called a constant. So we can see here that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. And anytime you see a plain old number, that is a constant. So this would be a constant, and this would be a constant. So it might seem like, why aren't we just calling them numbers? But we aren't. They're constants. So an algebraic equation or expression, when we see a plain old number, it is called a constant. All right, and last but not least, like terms. Like terms are terms that have the same variable raised to the same power, which is exponent, okay? And we're gonna talk a lot more about this in the next few videos. But just so you have a basic understanding, we know that every time we have an addition or subtraction symbol in between terms, this is a new term. So this is a term, 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 term. This would be a term, 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 all those terms. But sometimes terms are alike, and they are alike if they have the same variable raised to the same power. So for example, if we had a 3x and a 2x, those would be like terms because they both have plain x's, okay? If we had a, let's say 2y squared and a 3y squared, those would be like terms because they have the same variable to the same power, okay? These are like terms, same variable, same power, same variable, same power. Same with these over here, same variable, same variable. That's what makes them like terms. You know what, why don't we just even like circle it so we know these two, that looks dumb. All right, circle it, there we go. These two go together, those are like terms. And these two go together, those are like terms. Beautiful. All right, and over here, what did I just describe? Like terms. All right, ton of information, folks. Make sure you have it all recorded in your notes. Pause that video, get this all written down. This is very, very important. Okay? After you have everything recorded in your notes, move on. Okay, now we're going to practice identifying these different vocabulary words in algebraic expressions. So first, we have an example right here. 3x plus 8, x is the variable, because that, remember, a variable is our unknown number, okay, that's represented with a letter. So if I looked at this one, what is the variable in this expression? Well, I know a variable is a letter that represents an unknown number, so I can see right here, I have 4z minus 2. Z is a letter, so that would be my variable. So what is the variable here? Z. Okay, next one. What is the variable in 10 plus 4x? All right, variable is a letter that represents a mystery number. You can see I have a letter right there. It's the letter X. So my variable here is X. Okay, why don't you guys go ahead and try C and D. All right. Hopefully you paused the video and tried those, and you're getting the same thing as me. So the variable in this would be Y, and the variable in this would be A. Okay, next we have constants. Remember, a constant, we have our example right here, is that plain old number. It's a fancy word for a plain number. And you can see it's a number that's by itself. It doesn't have a variable touching it. That's the big difference here, okay? Yes, we have the number 3, but that is not the constant because it's touching that variable. Constant is a plain old number sitting there by itself. So here we have 8. We go to this one. What is the constant in 4z minus 2? Well, my plain number here is 2. And we're going to keep the operation with it. So I'm actually going to write this as minus 2. Okay, or negative 2. Go to the next one. What is the constant? Well, I can see here I have 10 plus 4x. 10 is the number that's all by itself, a big old loner sitting there. So the constant here would be 10. Okay? All right, try the next two on your own. Pause the video. Okay? Hopefully you tried these and you figured out that the constants or plain numbers were in this expression was 12. And in this expression was 14. Okay, and the last one is coefficient. A coefficient, remember, is that number in front of the variable. So 3x plus 8, 3 would be my coefficient. Okay, now we're going to look at this one, and for some reason it says constant right here. It should say coefficient, because we are looking for the coefficients in these ones. So what is the coefficient in 4z minus 2? Well, the coefficient, remember, is the number that's touching the variable. So the number touching the variable here would be 4. So my coefficient would be 4. If we look right here, what is the coefficient, not constant, in 12 plus 4y? Well, which number is touching the variable? 4y. 4 is touching y, which is the variable. So the coefficient here would be 4. Same thing. All right. So these next two over here, you are going to be finding the coefficient. I'm just going to go like that. not the constant. So find the coefficient, which numbers are touching the variables. All right, hopefully you tried these on your own. You got the answer of 4 here, 4x. And here you got the answer of 9 because of 9a. Okay. All right. Make sure that you have all of this information in your notes. And then let's move on to the last page. Okay, you are gonna do this page completely on your own. On this page, you are going to look at this expression and you're gonna write what the variable is, what the coefficient is, and what the constant is. So pause the video and go for it. Okay, hopefully you tried these on your own and you got the same answer as me. So pause the video, check your work, fix any mistakes you have, and you're done.